Good morning. I am going to take you through my day as I prepare some delicious autumn food for my family while we're living on a budget. It might seem like healthy and delicious meals are expensive and out of reach these days, but I have found ways to feed my family very well on under $300 a month. Fall foods are some of my very favorite meals to make. I love apples, pumpkins, butternut squash, and spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. We also just moved into a house after living off grid for a year. So I am super enjoying having amenities like a crock pot, blender, dishwasher, and even running water again. The first thing I'm going to be making this morning are some apple oatmeal breakfast cookies. You can screenshot this ingredient list so that you can make it yourself if you would like. Cooking from scratch is one way that I save a lot of money. Everything that I am making today, I am basically just shopping my pantry. I have not had to go to the store to purchase anything other than I bought some apples, and everything else is part of just my basic pantry stock up that I do, especially right before winter hits. And then we grow our own pumpkins and squash. We had our first garden this year, and so we grew some of the food that we're going to be eating today. And we also have chickens that provided us these eggs. I am using melted coconut oil for this part, but you could also use melted butter or another type of oil. If you didn't want to use oil, you could even use some applesauce or another mashed banana. Eating in season in local produce is a great way to save money and eat healthy, fresh foods. This year we grew pumpkins and butternut squash in our garden, and it's apple season, so there are lots of great deals on apples. Connecting with local farmers and buying bushels of apples is a great way to save if they're available in your area. There are also so many other things that you can do with apples, and they store and preserve very easily. We plan on planting apple trees on our property so that we have our own apples in the future. Now, we have a toddler, so to make sure that these apples cook all the way through and were very soft and not chunky, I did decide to cut them up a little bit smaller than I had them. And, if you have any sort of food sensitivities, food aversions, or are weird about textures, which we are a neurodivergent family, so, we have those issues too. You can also like shred these apples into like little tiny pieces, and then so it's not so chunky in there and the apples will a bit better. These nuts are also totally optional, and I am also crushing them up really, really tiny. I just try and add as many nutrients as I can to our diet, and finely chopped nuts is one way to get some healthy fats. This is a Carfo electric composter. The company gave me this to try it out to see how I liked it, and it turns your food scraps into compostable fertilizer. It is perfect for if you live in an urban area and worry about having a composting bin because of the smells. It is much faster than regular composting. In just 2.5 hours, it comes out looking pretty close to soil. I just fill this thing up throughout the day and run it right before I go to bed at night. You can add food scraps, paper products, really anything that is compostable and will fit in there. It is more of like a fertilizer than full-on soil, so you can either add a bit around your plants or to a pile to compost a bit further before it's like full-on compost. But it will finish breaking down at that point, and its benefits really are just that it speeds up the composting process and it eliminates all of those smells. I will link it down below if you are curious to go check that out a little bit further. These are just some of the scraps that I had left over from late last night and then this morning. And you can see that you can put, all types of stuff in there. I had a banana peel, some strawberry tops, coffee filter, egg shells. All of that stuff is fine to throw in there. Really, the main thing food-wise that you don't want to put in there are any bones. Is it working? Open, shut, open, shut. Put them in your lap, lap, lap. What kid doesn't want cookies for breakfast, right? Little do they know that these cookies are very healthy. Next, I'm going to be making some homemade apple cider. I did not have an orange for today. I love apple cider. I love to make apple cider. Usually I put an orange in there. And I will say after I did this, I did miss the orange. So I would recommend if you are doing this, if you have access to an orange, to throw one in there, but it's not necessary. I mean, it was still really good, but I did miss my orange a little bit. So here in a minute, I'm going to be using the leftover apple pulp to make something. So I am removing the seeds. So if you are just making apple cider and not going to do what I show you later on in the video, then you do not have to worry about removing the seeds. 'Cause I don't want to feel anything. Wish you'd stayed here beside me. This isn't how it's supposed to be. Wish you'd stayed here right with me. I can't shake that feeling that we said goodbye too soon. I know the hour's getting late. I shouldn't sit here contemplating. I just can't stop thinking about. I am just going to let this cook on high for about 4 hours. And so I'm going to go do some other stuff, including unloading the dishwasher, which, like I mentioned earlier, we have been living off grid for a year, which means we haven't had a dishwasher. And I have to say that doing the dishes is really my least favorite task, like hand washing dishes. I had somebody ask in the comments about living without a dishwasher because their dishwasher broke. And some people kind of tease the situation, just saying you just hand wash them. But like, I totally get it because I really do love having a dishwasher, and that is on my must haves for our new house when we build it. I really, really need a dishwasher. Hand washing dishes is honestly my least favorite chore, especially as a neurodivergent person. So, like, my main tip that I have learned while living off grid and not having a dishwasher and not having even running water is to use as few dishes as possible and clean them at the end of the day. Like, don't do dishes all day long. Everyone in my family gets one of each utensil and like cup and plate, and they're responsible for keeping them clean all day. We really just wipe off the dishes after each meal, and I will actually deep clean them before we go to bed at night and just set them out to dry. When you are cooking, cook a lot of one pot meals like soups and stews, casseroles, crock pot meals, so that you have less dirty dishes from cooking. Meal prep so that you are only cooking once a week or so that you don't have dinner dishes to clean up after every meal. And then if you really do want to replace your dishwasher because it broke, look for a used one. My go-to is Facebook Marketplace. I have renovated a couple homes and have never bought a new dishwasher. People with more money than I do like to renovate and update their kitchens all the time to stay trendy and to suit their personal aesthetic preferences. The result is like new appliances at a fraction of the price. You could also try the scratch and dent section or floor models at local places like Home Depot and Lowe's. So for my next meal, I need to soak those cashews for an hour. So I just soak them and set them off to the side. And then I am going to come back and do my autumn harvest Buddha bowls. Again, I have the recipe ingredient list here, so you can screenshot that so you can make this on your own. And for those of you that watched my dehydrating apple video, I just wanted to show you, I also dehydrated a bunch of strawberries, some raspberries, and the apples that I dehydrated are completely gone. We ate those very, very quickly, so they were a big hit. So I do need to dehydrate some more apples. Those are the bananas that, they're brown because I forgot to soak them in lemon juice before I dehydrated them. And yeah, so this pumpkin came out of our garden this year. And so for this recipe, you can either use pumpkin or butternut squash or some sort of fall squash. And then I'm also going to be cutting up some apple. I love how with fall you kind of have like a mixture of sweet and savory flavors together, and I just love it. The dressing for this that I'm going to be making also has like a tang to it. It's a cashew apple cider vinegar dressing, and it is so good. I'm going to be putting it over some quinoa, but you could do rice or, some other grain if you would like. Or if you don't want to do a grain, you can put it over a salad maybe, or some sauteed kale. few of you guys mentioned that I should start a membership to my channel, so I have done just that. If you want to support my channel and have some extra perks along with that, then you can click the little join button down below. I am currently offering 2 membership tiers. The first is for $2.99 a month, and you will have access to custom emojis and will have priority in my comments section. So like if you are a member, your comments will go to a special place so that I will definitely see them. I try really hard to see everybody's comments and respond as much as I can, but you guys are awesome and have been commenting so much. It's just really hard to keep up with all of them. The next level of the membership is $6.99 a month, and you will have all of those perks, but also will have early access to all of my new videos. You will get photo and status updates, and I'll have some member only videos. Once a month, I'm going to be doing a Q&A where you can like type in questions and like ask me questions, and I will respond to all of those questions in a private members only video. So if that sounds fun to you and you want to become a channel member, you can just hit that join button. You can cancel at any time. So if you decide to join it and don't want to, you can cancel. I definitely forgot to add the water to this, and it was a bit thick. So I had to go back and add my water. I will say that the toddler did not like this dressing. I think it was a little bit too tangy. So maybe not a super kid-friendly dressing if your kids are kind of picky. My kid's not even picky, but it was a little tangy. I absolutely loved it though. After this has been cooking on high for 4 hours, you are just gonna go and mash up these apples. It works much better with like a potato masher, but I didn't have one, so I was using this. I think it's a salad fork. I don't know. Just make sure that they're all mashed up and then let them sit for another like 30 minutes or so on high. One way to save money is to make sure that you waste as little food as possible. So we are going to reuse all of this apple pulp and we are going to turn it into some apple pulp muffins. You are going to want to strain the apple cider as much as you can. You can also use a cheesecloth or, some sort of fine mesh strainer. If you like it a little bit chunky in there, like I don't mind there being some consistency with the apple cider. I think it makes it, exciting. But just strain this the best that you want to. This is already pretty sweet as it is, especially if you use a sweeter apple. but you can add another type of sweetener to it. I added honey, but you could also do like maple syrup or brown sugar or, whatever type of sweetener that you want. But it really is fine without adding a sweetener. This is the apple pulp. I've never done this before, so I thought that maybe I would just mash it up in a bowl, but it probably would work better if I had an actual like correct utensil to use, but I didn't. So I put it in the blender and that turned out really well. You can use this pulp for the muffins, but then also use it as applesauce. That works just fine too. And the final thing I'm going to make today are these apple pulp muffins. I've never made these before, and to be honest with you, I'm coming back doing the voiceover. They did not turn out very pretty. Everybody thought that they tasted good, but they didn't rise very much, so I don't really know exactly what happened. So I'm going to have to tweak the recipe a little bit, but they did taste fine. This is kind of like one thing that I like to do since I'm already like in the kitchen cooking a lot today. I kind of like am meal prepping. I have breakfast for the entire week, basically between the apple oatmeal cookies and then these apple pulp muffins. So I don't even have to worry about breakfast, for the rest of the week. Those are pretty flat and pretty ugly and cakey. So we'll try that again another time. Say cheese. Are you gonna smile? Whoa. You guys are making a mess.